Welcome back to the You Are Immeasurable podcast. Today, I have a dear friend of mine as a guest. Her name is Nicole Will, and she is a confidence creator and the CEO, Believe You Will Coaching. So, Nicole, I thank you so much for coming and hanging out and shooting the shit with me today.
Thank you
I'm
so much
going
for having me here.
No problem. I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor and try to be quiet while you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone and talk to us about what you do and why you do it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. So, my name is Nicole, and I am, like Tanisha mentioned, a confidence creator. So, I am here to help women feel confident AF. Like, I love helping women, and I apologize if you hear a cat going crazy in the background. Sorry about that. That's just what she does. I make women and cats feel confident because that's just what she does. I love helping women feel like they can speak up and go after what they want. I really just love helping women use their voice to really feel like they can just say and just feel like they can say what they want and really just go after what they truly desire. So I think a lot of times we find as we get older, we are just hammered down by so many things. We have our careers, we have our families, our relationships that take our voice away from us at times. We're either told outright to be quiet, or those messages are just quietly told, implicitly said to us, maybe you're just being a little too loud. You just need to be a little quiet. I think it's time that we need to stop doing that. And as women, we need to start using our voice a little bit more. So I really want women to start using that voice a lot more. Let's start speaking up for what we want. So I go out there, I help women learn to say no to the things that they need to say no to that they don't want to be doing. Start setting better boundaries with their jobs, with their family members, with those things that they really should be setting better boundaries with. Let's start asking for those things that we need so that we can be happier and start going after the things that we want. And that is my ultimate goal and my passion is making sure that women can feel comfortable going after the things that we desire so that even when society and everything is telling us to be quiet, we can actually say, actually, no, I would rather not be so quiet. I actually wish I'd worn it now. I have a shirt that says, I don't aspire to be quiet. I just love being able to wear shirts like that and just say, I don't want to be quiet.
I want to know where you got the shirt.
I'll send you the link, girl. It's the same place where I got that other shirt that said, like, have the confidence of a mediocre white man.
It's love all of that. I
Yeah.
I've been probably for about the past couple months doing lots of interviews with different business owners, different coaches, healers, all of these things. And what I am finding is that the majority, if not all of us, have the same underlining mission, passion, goal. And it lets me know, well, I mean, I knew it, but it just drives home for me that it doesn't matter what you look like, where you live, when you were born.
Yep.
This seems to be a constant issue, a constant thorn when it comes to us as women. It's just wild to me that it has gone. I can't think of the proper word that would actually fit how I feel about it. You know what I mean? I understand it because I've been there. We always talk about the different generations and how everybody grew up and all of those things. Me being Gen X and coming up with all of the things, being the eldest child, of the latchkey generation, being the only girl as far as my siblings. I just have brothers.
Mhm.
It's a whole lot that I even noticed growing up that was different between me and my brothers. A lot of the responsibility, a lot of the having to compromise, a lot of being trained, conditioned, and taught to be concerned and to worry about and meet the need of everybody around me but me,
Mhm. Yeah,
you know?
and absolutely. And as a millennial, I notice this with all of my friends too. Our generation, I think, was conditioned to just be silent. We just were told, "Hey, you're gonna sit over there and you're gonna be quiet. The adults are talking. You just be quiet over there." We just
Well,
were
it was the
not.
same way with us.
Yeah. And now, as I see the kids coming up, they aren't quiet. And I love that for them. And I'm so proud of them that like they are more confident in speaking up. And I'm just like, yes. And you know what? We, as Gen X and millennials, we don't have to be quiet either. We
Right.
can't take something from that the younger generations are doing. We can learn from them. And guess what? We don't have to be quiet either.
Yeah, and I think too the difference also is it does very much go back to your conditioning and how you were raised.
Hmm.
Because, say, for example, my eldest is at the end of the millennials. She was born
Hmm.
in 94.
Hmm.
And then our other kids, they're all Gen Z. Gen Z. Yeah. But where I was going with this is because we were the ones raising them.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, well, this is what I was taught. This is what
Hmm.
is to me.
Yep.
And so it became a thing. And there's a, of course, with siblings, it's always, well, you're expected to do this, and then the younger ones, oh well, you guys get away with murder, that type of thing. But I think that it's also very much that when we had the ones that we had earlier, we were going off of only what we knew
Hmm.
and what we were taught. But then as we begin to learn things and to really see things, because my eldest, I got pregnant my senior year in high school. So
Hmm.
I'm still a kid. I'm still figuring this shit out. It's a big gap between her and her siblings.
Hmm.
So it's like now I've really had some grown up experiences, and I've decided that there's some shit is bullshit. And no, the youngers kind of got to do things earlier because I had grown and I had learned. And I think that too is why the younger millennials and the Gen Zers that they just gonna say the shit. Now, I don't like the loud and wrong part, but
Right. Yeah, that part's not cool. They don't need to be wrong, but I do like that they're using their voice a little
yeah,
bit more.
and they're gonna tell
Maybe
you about it. Yes,
yes.
they are going to tell you. So yeah, I do love that. And I feel like too that eventually things will be a lot different. At least that's my hope,
Hmm.
especially with having 4 daughters.
Hmm.
I want it to be different.
Yeah.
Always having that thing that I don't want them to experience the things that I did.
Hmm.
And the things that in my 40s I started figuring out and started working on and realizing the issues and things like that. I don't want it to take that long for them. They're all in their 20s. So I'm like, we need to figure this out now.
Yeah.
So you'll be a lot further ahead. And I just feel like that is a great thing that they will have that we didn't, because a lot of us were figuring it out now, or we started figuring it out kind of later where they don't have to.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think that that's as we're getting older and we are starting to figure out those things, we can pass that along to the younger generation. And even though they are using their voice a lot more, they're still dealing with different things, right? They have
Mm-hmm.
the pressures of social media and having to
Mm-hmm.
deal with everything being online, which has its own, thank God. not everything I did when I was growing up was online because I don't think I could
Look
have dealt
here,
with it. Whew.
look here.
Yes.
Me and my husband say it all the time. We are so glad. We didn't have cell phones. And remember back then, the camcorders were huge. So you
Yes.
weren't, even if you had one, you weren't really sneaking around. And, what they can do now with it seems
Yeah.
like everything's got a camera, everything's recording. Yeah, no, no. Most of us wouldn't have made it. We'd all be locked up for the crazy shit we was doing.
Pretty much, yeah. So I'm glad I didn't have to deal with that when I was coming up as a
Yeah.
teenager, young adult.
You're right.
I
It
yeah.
does give them different concerns,
Mhm.
different worries than we had.
It presents different challenges. So as coaches and as women now, we can go to the younger women and just say, "Hey, here are the things that we dealt with. Here's how we can have what we dealt with and you can take what we learned and apply it to
Mhm,
what you are dealing with now." So you've got
mhm.
this beautiful voice and this confidence. That's great. Here's how you can use it in a way that's going to be very powerful for what you need to use it for and how you can apply it to when you are, having kids of your own and all of that kind of stuff too, right?
Definitely. I think, like you said, I love that they're going to speak up. I love that they're going to make it known that we're not going for this. We're not okay with this. This is not okay.
Mhm.
This is not how things should be, or this is not how you should treat people or do people, and all of those things. And a lot of that for us was very much that's the way it is. You just kind of gotta sit over there, be quiet, be pretty,
Yeah.
and allow it to continue, which has caused major, major issues for
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely. And I find that a lot of the work that those of us in this space are doing now is to help bring that awareness
Yeah,
that
what I really want to see change and one thing that I definitely focus on with clients is kind of starting to change corporate culture a little bit
mhm,
is you don't have to work 24/7. You don't have
mhm,
to work on vacation. You don't have to
mhm.
work all those times. It's just like,
Ooh-wee.
and these are habits that I know I still have to break. Like, I've done a good job of trying to break them, but are there still some I have to break? Absolutely, because there are habits that I have formed poorly, very poor habits that I have to break still that still creep in. So it's like those are things that I work on with clients. Those are things that like you have to continue to break. And then you have to make sure as a young adult, no matter what that corporation says, do not form those habits young. Just
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
like
'cause it's hard to get out of them. Yeah,
exactly. So like
yeah.
how can we start changing that now so that in future generations they don't fall into that habit so that corporations realize maybe we don't start that two things happen. One, that those habits don't start forming so that women can start having better work life balance. But then also, so that corporations don't have a bunch of lip service where it's just like, oh, we believe in work life balance. But then when you actually get into that corporation, you realize it's a bunch of bullshit. And that,
Look here.
yeah.
Absolutely. You do hear, and I think that it goes a lot with what is mainstream, if you will. We have those that are speaking up about the work life balance, about mental health, about having time and making the time for self care and getting away and taking care of you, mind, body, soul, spirit, all of those things. Because these things, as part of the awakening that's happening, yeah, these things are being talked about, and so companies, a lot of these corporations, you're absolutely right, are saying, "Hey, yeah, well, we're different and this, that, and the other." And yeah, then you get in there and it's like, "Oh yeah, you can take vacation, but keep your phone with you. Make sure
Mhm.
you have your laptop." All of these things that if need be, you can jump in a meeting. If need be, you can edit a document or send a document or whatever. No, that's not the same thing.
Right. Yeah, and it's
It's
like,
not
well, no, it's
the
not
same.
vacation. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'll never forget a conversation I had with somebody at my last company where he was like, "Oh, well, the expectation," he asked if I'd have my phone with me on vacation, my boss, and I was like, "Well, no, I'm on vacation." And I and he's like, "Well, the expectation is to have your phone with you at all times." I'm like, "No, I'm on vacation. If you want me to be online, then I'm going to deduct those hours from the vacation that I'm going to be taking." "Oh, well, I mean, so and so, the boss above him, expects it." I'm like, "I don't really care. Like, I understand I'm new to this team, but I don't care because I'm on vacation." I'd
Mhm.
learned later after I left that company that he started using that, what I had said to him, as his excuse to not have his phone on him when he was on
Mhm.
vacation. I was just like, "Yeah, I told you. I told you."
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah. And it
it's
is so real.
mhm,
It is so real. It is the life for so many. I mean, I know it because I was a call center manager for 20 years.
mhm,
So, yeah, you've got people calling you on the weekends, all hours of the day and night. And the expectation is that you either answer or you call back or you respond or you're texting something,
yeah,
something. You're basically always available. And it's like, how does that work? But usually, yeah, when you say like what you said, okay, well, if I'm working, then I'm not using my PTO or my vacation time for this. Well,
exactly.
then that's a problem too. And it's like, okay, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And I live in Silicon Valley, the home of Apple and Google and Facebook. And so, like, everybody here is constantly working. And I was just, no,
Mhm.
that's them. That's why they get paid the big bucks, maybe, but even then, they need to have work-life balance too. So
Mhm.
everybody deserves to have that. It doesn't matter if you're making $300,000 a year, $500,000 a year, whatever it is, you deserve to have that same type of balance. Corporations need to figure that shit out fast. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of people burning out real quick. That's why it's so important that people do what we do for getting people to like be able to advocate for themselves in the workplace, advocate for themselves at home, to ask for support. If you have somebody who's working a lot, hey, partner, I need you to do this at home so that I can take a break because I was working all day, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah,
Speak up so you can ask for that support.
but you have to have that confidence and that courage to speak up
Yeah.
because as we kind of started off the conversation with, a lot of these things are perpetuated in their cycles throughout the generations. So
Mm-hmm.
we saw grandma, we saw mama
Mm-hmm.
working all of these hours, then coming home and having to cook, clean, wash clothes, deal with kids, all of this. And it became normalized to the point that we never saw it as a problem. And then as we became adults, it was the expectation
Mm-hmm.
because this is what we've seen. It definitely is something that I believe that the majority of us are working toward, not only understanding in our lives, but also having had those realizations, having had to work through all of that ourselves. Now we can be that support system for other women that need that.
Yeah.
Because again, if everybody in your circle is like, oh, well, that's normal, it's okay. Yeah, I understand you're half dead, but this is what you got to do. You need somebody to say, no, sugar, that's bullshit. And no, you don't have to.
Yeah. That's not normal. Definitely not
Mm-mm,
normal.
mm-mm, mm-mm. I love that you are actually in that space and there to help these young ladies, these beautiful, powerful women that have something to say, be able to stand up and say it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have been through burnout and all of that. I don't want anybody to have to go through that. And it shouldn't take having to get burnt out and having to go through all of that to use your voice and to learn that you have a voice to use, to be able to give that to somebody else. That's all I ever really want to do, is to be able to be like, here is my gift to you, is to be able to say, you have a voice. You might not think that you do, but it's in there. I promise you, it is in there. It's just buried. Like, it's just buried after years and years and years and all of this stuff. It's just
Yeah.
a little hidden right now. And
Yeah.
so let's just uncover it. And you don't have to go through it alone to get there.
Yeah. Absolutely. That just makes my heart happy to hear that.
You're healing
It
somebody
is.
that way,
It
right?
is. Yeah, definitely. And I think that brings us all together, coaches, healers, all of that, because
Mhm.
it's all about that support,
Mhm.
that being there in that time of need for someone, because the majority of us, if not all of us, know what it's like to be having a moment
Mhm.
or be in a crisis or a situation that we just needed somebody to be there with us,
Mhm.
and we didn't have that.
Oh, yeah.
That's what makes us so passionate about it, because we really have been there, been in the trenches, felt those things, and we know what it feels like. And you said it a moment ago, you felt it and you don't want anyone to feel that way, because you know what it feels like. And I think that makes all the difference in the world than somebody that might have read a book and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go do this. No,
Yeah.
it's not
And
the same.
that reminds me, how many times have we been given, that kind of that kind of simplistic platitude of, "Oh, well, just buck up, it'll be fine," or something
Mhm.
generic like that, right? And it just reminds me of
Mhm.
my favorite Brene Brown quote that one of my good friends posted the other day, which just triggered this and brought it back up to my memory again, of just like, if you haven't been in the arena getting your ass kicked, then your opinion doesn't matter. It's a generic paraphrasing of it, but that's really what
Mhm.
it is. That's why I go for the coaches that I go for, is and the healers that I work with, and people like that, and people like you, and things, and people that I've met, that I've connected with so much, is I know that you guys have been there, and I know that you can help because of the fact that you've been there and have gone through the trenches too. That's when you know
Mhm.
you've connected with somebody. It's like, that person has seen the same shit that I have been through,
Mhm.
and I know that they
Absolutely.
have been there. And it's just like, that's exactly it. If you haven't been through the trenches too, then how can you actually say that you can help somebody?
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why that will always be my favorite thing from Brene Brown. If you haven't been in the arena getting your ass kicked, then your opinion means nothing to me. Sorry,
Right.
but not
Right.
sorry.
Exactly. I agree with that wholeheartedly, because yeah, until you've been there, and it's not that I don't believe that people can't be empathetic. You
Right.
can be empathetic. You can be like, wow, I don't know what I would do in that situation.
Hmm.
Those I can deal with those responses. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But like you said, that generic, oh, it'll be okay, or it always gets worse before it gets better.
Yep.
Okay, well, you feel that way if I crack you over the head,
Yeah.
because no, baby, you're not feeling me right now. You're not
Right.
understanding where I'm at. And so, yes, I too, I can't work with a coach that I don't know can truly understand what's going on, because you're not going to be able to help me. And
Hmm.
you're going to be looking at me like something wrong with her.
Yeah.
And yeah, you might think that if you don't understand. It makes all the difference in the world, I believe. Another thing that has helped me along my healing journey is that knowing that I have these gifts and that this is my purpose and this is my mission has helped me to come to the place of realization that okay, I had to go through those things.
Mhm.
so that I can help other people that are
Mhm.
going through those things. Because had I not experienced it, I wouldn't know what to do. I
Yeah.
wouldn't know what to say because it's those deep, dark places. There are no words. There really aren't unless you done seen that darkness yourself. And
Yeah.
then you can't, yeah, then you can't explain it. And it's like, okay, it's like this. And they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, boo.
And yeah, and yeah, that's absolutely it. It's like when you can't put it into words, but somebody knows exactly what you're trying to say. It's like, well,
Mhm.
that's the person. That's somebody that you know can really feel it. When
Yeah.
it's just like, I don't have words to describe it, but you can kind of say describe it a little bit, but somebody's like, "Oh, I know what you're trying to say here."
Mhm.
Okay, well, this is
Yeah.
somebody who gets it because that's somebody who has been there
Yeah.
at to that same level. Maybe not to the same extent, but at
Yeah.
least understands
Mhm.
to a certain point. And
Yeah.
yeah, empathy is different. I definitely can connect with people who are empathetic. I really appreciate people who can get to that level of empathy. But then there's definitely those who are like, oh yeah, I can absolutely understand what you are going through right now.
Mhm. Mhm. What is it from the saying from back in the day? Been there, done that, got the T-shirt.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like I got the T-shirt, the bumper sticker, the coffee mug,
Yep.
all of that, all
Yeah.
of it. Got it all. Yes, ma'am. This has been an awesome conversation, Nicole. Before we close this out, I want to know and I want you to share with the audience if you have anything that you're promoting right now, if you've got anything coming up that you'd like us to know about, please go ahead and share that with us.
So I am going to be doing something special coming up for the holidays. So obviously, as we come up with the holidays, there's going to be a lot of challenging conversations, challenging times we're going to be having with a lot of people, whether that be our coworkers, our family, whoever it happens to be, where we might be having to set some boundaries with some people. So I am going to be having a special where to be 1 month of coaching. It's going to be where we can set those boundaries right up front, where we can have those conversation one on one together prior to you having to set those boundaries with whoever it is that you have to set those boundaries with. And this is going to be a special just for anybody who's listening to this podcast. We'll connect, we'll make sure to have that to where you are crystal clear with what you need to say. This is a special deal for anybody listening to this podcast. It'll be 444 for anybody. I'm a big fan of angel numbers, special 4 sessions, one-on-one, hour-long sessions. So this is going to be special for the holidays for anybody listening. So I'm really excited to be able to offer that for anybody. With crucial conversations coming up, anything that you might need to have in terms of crucial conversations, setting boundaries. I got you. 4 sessions for $444. I got you for that.
I love it. I love it. So you guys, you heard that. It's a special deal that she is offering to the listeners of this podcast. So yeah, if you're interested, all of her links and everything will be in the show notes so that you can reach out to Nicole and you can take advantage of this special promotion for the holidays because yeah, it's about to get interesting real soon.
Yes, it is.
Real soon, and we all know that. So again, Nicole, I appreciate you coming. I thank you so much for
Thank
sharing your
you.
vision and your wisdom and your passion with us. And yeah, just appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime. We will definitely have you back again. For all of you guys, thank you for listening to the You Are Immeasurable podcast. And until next time, cheers to your transformation.